Okay, so folks, how do you rebrand yourself after your reinvention journey or while you're in the process of reinventing yourself? Okay, either way, how do you do it? Your brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. Now, we have Jeff Bezos with Amazon to thank for that quote, but he's right. He's exactly right. What do people say about you when you are not in the room? That is your brand. So, with that in mind, I want to ask the question, how do you show up in the world? Do you know? Are you clear about how others are experiencing you, right? So often when we go through the 28-day Reinvention road trip program, women will say, well, now that I'm like on this new path and I'm super excited about what's next, how do I fully live into this new version of me? How do I talk about it to people, friends and family who've known me for years? How do I message this new me? It's a perfect question. And it's vulnerable. It's a vulnerable question because it's like, I've done all this work, but now it's like, I need to put myself out into the world. And for those of us who aren't, familiar or comfortable with branding, it really requires thought and intentionality so that you can get the message and the story about who you are and where you're going really down pat. So I want to spend a little bit of time on this rebranding idea so that we can get more clear for sure, but get you off and running quickly and in the moment, like right now today. So the first thing that I want to do is, so there are three things I want to touch on. The first is focus on where you're going, not on where you've been. So it's very easy for us to continue to talk about the past, talk about who we were in the past, how we showed up in the past, all of that, because it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's comfortable, and it's fine actually, because your past experience will inform your future. But now you want to start to think about as much or more about where you're headed, what your future looks like, what's the vision, because you want to be able to talk to people about the vision, right? What you're casting forward, not what you've done in the past. So in order to do that, you need to sit down and think about it. Where will you be 1 year from now? Where will you be 2 years from now? Heck, where will you be in 5 years? And when you say where will you be, it's like, what do you look like? Who's around you? Where are you physically? Where are you, right? What's important to you? And if you can name those things, like 1 year from today, I want my life to look like this, and this. 5 years, this, and this. You're starting to paint a picture. You're starting to tell a story, and one that people will so enjoy listening to and helping you and championing you along the way. So, but you have to start to frame it up and get clear. So write that down. The next thing that you want to do is highlight your gifts. Now, we talked about this in another little series around superpowers, but you got to know what your superpowers are. You have to know what sets you apart and what differentiates you in the world, right? And it's okay. It is okay to brag on yourself a little bit. Like when folks say, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to seem like I'm, better than anybody else. I'm not saying that you are better than anybody else. Nobody is, right? What I'm saying to you is that this is an opportunity to tell the world what your strengths are, what your skill set is, what your gifts are. And we know that when we talk about those things, the God-given gifts, like why we're here on this planet, why would you hide it? When we talk about it, it draws people in. I'm immediately attracted when people tell me about themselves. Like, oh, that's what you do? Or that's what you're really good at? I need somebody like that. Or I have a friend who needs somebody. And we start to refer and all the things. It's how you build a network. So when you hide your gifts, you're not doing anybody any favors. And you're not being humble. It doesn't help anyone. So highlight your gifts. It's okay to focus on your accomplishment. Pull people in. Let them know, what they can admire in you. And then give them an opportunity to share what you can admire in them back. That is the beauty of relationships and networking. And then last but not least, folks, I want you to consider expanding your circle. Oftentimes when we go through a reinvention journey, we look around at our former circle, the circle we built this in, that you're in and you're comfortable in, and you try to explain and you get excited about what's next for you. And sometimes people are skeptical, and sometimes people can get jealous because you're growing and you're changing. And my piece of advice here is, you don't cancel people, right? But you might want to push pause because you need really good energy, and they will come along. They'll watch, you'll provide evidence that you're doing a thing and that you stuck with it. Like, people will see you grow and change, and they'll come along. And if they don't, then they don't. But in the meantime, expand your circle. Find your people that are in this new energy space, that are building their own thing, that have their own goals, that are excited about their work, right? That's your people. It could even be in the new industry that you're in, or you're in a new geographical location. Whatever it is, expand your network. Super, super important. All right, so those are the 3 things that I wanted to talk about that will help you very quickly brand yourself in a new way, in a positive way through your reinvention journey. Don't cut corners on this process, y'all. Please don't do it. Branding is your story. It's your story. It's not mine. We all have a uniquely different perspective. So tell your branding story. You have the agency to do it, especially if you can walk through those 3 checkpoints, and tell it powerfully. All right, until next time.